Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to our fourth night of our Live at 5 with Friends. I hope you have been enjoying them as much as I have. We've had some super awesome guests, and tonight, you all know who we're bringing on. I told them I was going to hide them, so they're kind of behind the curtain. I said, we're going to bring you out like you two are superstars. So I think what you're going to learn tonight is going to be pretty dang remarkable. So we have our friends, Tristin and his sweet wife, Juanique, Roney, and they are going to join us and talk about how they leveraged their clinic and added in an additional revenue stream through a membership. And for those of you that know me, you know I love memberships, and I think they are the most amazing tool. But we're going to I'm going to step out of this conversation, and I'm going to let these two tell us the why, how they got started. We're just going to kind of walk through the process and then give you some maybe tips and tools about what to look for, what not to do, what to do. We were just talking before we got on about the things that get you trapped. And so maybe we can discuss those things too, because sometimes you can go in with a good intention and then the thing swallows you up and you feel like you're in quicksand and you can't get out. So anyway, Tristin, Juanique, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on. It's really exciting.
So tell me how you guys got this idea about a membership in the first place. Where did this all come from?
Well, I mean, during our consults, we just kept repeating the same information over and over. And when we were counseling with clients about lifestyle choices and changes, it's so multi-tiered. Yeah. And I remember like sending people to other resources, but it was so scattered. And I'm like, we just need one resource. So when I'm doing a consult, I say, buy the membership. It's a step-by-step and it's easy peasy, like a caveman can do it. And then I remember thinking, we should just create something like that. That would be so easy. That way they're not picking my brain over and over. It's just laid out like a map. And so that's literally what we do. It's like selling a product. Like you sell a supplement, now you're selling a lifestyle change. And that's what we do. We say, this is how you practice this.
So when you started that, what did you decide as far as content goes? When you started it as a membership, did you like load it with a whole bunch of content? You said easy like a caveman. What does that look like?
We actually, we came at it from the angle of literally breaking down their food portion of their lifestyle.
Yes.
And telling them, here are the things you're going to buy at the store. Here are the recipes you're going to use. Here are the days that you're going to make these different meals. And so we basically, the way we started it was with these meal planners. And I think that I've shared one of them in the past. I'd be happy to do that again so that people can get an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, please send that over. Yeah, we'll pass it out.
But basically, the reason why we put this together was when I was doing my consults and I had my people fill out like a 3-day food diary. And they would bring it and they're like, look, I eat really healthy. And I realized there's this disconnect. I'm like, what you think is healthy and what is really healthy are two different things. You're thinking standard American, like you're comparing it to the standard American diet. I need to create a visual and a step-by-step to handhold you through it. Because if there's one thing I've learned through multiple like failed consults is that people are so overwhelmed. Like their mental fatigue is through the roof when it comes to a lifestyle change. Yeah. And so I remember like coming home at night and being like, I just want a meal plan in front of me. I don't even want to think about it. And I remember putting like the 2 and 2 together and being like, what if I created a meal plan that they didn't have to think about? They didn't have to worry, is this healthy for me or not? Because I've designed it and everyone utilizes it that week. And it's the grocery shopping list. It's the recipes, because online I'm always posting, like people are like, what do you eat? What do you eat? What do you eat? And I'm always showing and they're like, oh, what's the recipe? And I'm like, you know what? Instead of me like giving you my free time and recipes, you can pay for it, you know? And so it's
good on you, sister. Woohoo! That's it.
And they totally do, because, you know, they really, and they're all easy too, because people that are learning how to cook, how many Americans just don't know how to cook? And when I was consulting with my clients and I was like, you have no idea how to even make an egg. Okay, here are these really easy recipes. And my favorite thing is when they come back and they're like, my husband loves it. and when the husband approves, then I know that I've sold the biggest baby in the house, really.
Yeah.
So no offense to like all the men out there, but when they like the meals, they're sold, because trying to sell someone vegetables, like vegetables are not sexy. And I was like, I need to make this sexy. They need to change their lifestyle. They need to be handheld through it, and it needs to be sexy. And so with these beautiful pictures, these beautiful recipes, and these menu plans that are very appealing looking, they're like, oh, this is what a healthy meal plan looks like. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my step by step. This is my breakfast. This is my snack, my lunch, my snack, my dinner. And I was like, yeah, if instead of telling that to people over and over, I can just have them practice it at home.
Right? Now that's not to say though that it has to be this for everybody.
No.
Right? Our belief in even saying, hey, we could go on and share something, is that everyone watching this right now has an area of expertise. It's like their thing that they just rock at. Ours happens to be the meal planning side of it, because that's where we've focused our time. But we're not chiropractors, right? We're not naturopaths. We don't have those other skill sets. You all watching this probably do have one of those skill sets, and you could probably find a way to drip out a little bit of content every week in exchange for their membership. And the model doesn't change, just the details of the content change.
Yep, that's exactly right. Because you have to know your audience enough. And just like you said, you listened and you said, what's the question that I'm getting over and over and over and over? That's when you start to look at how can I monetize that, and even monetizing that support. Like, I'm going to see you in the office, but here's where you're going to get community and support from other like-minded people that are going to come together, and you guys are going to be able to work through this together. We've all done this little mini membership that we call this group detox. It's basically a little 3 or 4 week membership. That's what it is. So you take that same concept by providing those resources and drip them out over time. And then pretty soon the thing starts to get traction when you start having and building community. So tell me about that. Like, where has the community piece come in for you guys?
What would you say about that?
So the community piece, and this is, we'll get into some of the learning experiences we've had and how we need to revamp this. But what is so great is when we've got everybody in a community and they are sharing their experiences, it generates emotion. And emotion is ultimately what drives all of our major decisions, especially our purchasing decisions. So they get in there, someone talks about how amazing such and such a meal was for them and their kids. And then other people hear that and like, wow, I was thinking about skipping this week's planner because I'm too busy. But gosh, that sounds really nice. So they go and do it where they wouldn't have done it before. And then they've built up even more emotion. They come back and report, and suddenly everybody is just on fire about this whatever topic.
Yeah. And that's really interesting too. Is one person asks a question and multiple people say, I've actually had that same question, but I've been too nervous to ask it. And so creating a community brings out, it allows people to get information that they might be too shy to ask, or that they didn't know they needed to understand.
Right.
And so when someone brings up something, they're like, oh my gosh, I've never even thought of that. And so it just helps, like Tristin said, the emotional charge helps it stick better. There's that saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. And so if we're creating positive reinforcement through a healthy community, because think about it, people are so shamed for eating well at family functions and at work. And, so if we can create different firings through an online community of, oh my gosh, this meal was so amazing. Oh, what did you change in it? Oh, I changed this sauce. Then these neurons are firing together and they're creating positive associations with it. Yep. And then they can also get like the interaction between Tristin and I, who are kind of like the ringleaders, and because they look to us as like a trusted advisor. And so just getting like that reinforcement of, is this okay? Am I doing this right? And you're just patting them on the head and you're like, yes, everything's great. You're all doing amazing. sometimes people just need that from their counselors, you know?
That's right. And that's what I think sometimes gets missed in the distance or the space between we see them for this visit, and then they just kind of have to go it on their own. And then they come back to you 4 or 6 weeks later, whenever your follow-up is, and you say, hey, how'd you do? Oh, I did good.
Yeah. Silence.
And, yeah, right. And that meant they crashed and burned. But what was missing in there was that contact, the community, the nurturing through content, or in your case, it's recipes, that you're giving them meal plans and guidance that way, because that's something you're passionate about. If you ask me to cook, to do that, and that my life was, I could figure it out, but to ask me to cook and fix stuff and do no.
We're doing jalapeno poppers again, everybody.
Jalapeno poppers and my favorite libation. And that's it. That's my food of choice because it's easy and I know how to do it. But if I had someone that said, here's how I would be your perfect person, because I don't want to think about it. Yes. So I would say, if you just tell me what to buy and what to cook and it's easy, I'm all in.
Decision fatigue is ginormous in this industry. Decision fatigue. It's ginormous.
And I'm there.
People are so tired.
Yep.
And because there's so much conflicting information, right? And so if they're like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, I'm like, fine, just pay me $40 a month.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have your $40 a month, what's your biggest resistance to that? So I'm sure that some of the people watching, some of the docs watching are like, you mean you charge them $40 a month? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. I think it's great. I think it's a great price. But my question is, do you ever get pushback about that?
No, I've had a few people that are like, I'm not getting value for this, but it's an educational piece, right? Because how many people waste money on rotted food in their fridge? Mm-hmm. They have every intention to eat their vegetables. Like, how much money do you waste on groceries per month? Well, if you had a very strategic plan, how much would you be saving? So really, is the $40 a loss or is it a gain? And so it's just restructuring it. And it's like, no, it's not $40. Like, because you're already wasting money. You're wasting money and you're paying for it in medical bills. This $40, like for 6 months to get meal plans for like half a year. So that's like $250. That's nothing, and then they get all of these incredible recipes and these plans. And I tell them, I'm like, print them out, put them in your binder. And now you have meal plans and recipes for the rest of your life. And you can just pick and choose a week. I want to do this week. I want to do this week. And you'll never have to look up another menu again or another recipe because you've got hundreds.
Yeah.
You go. I want you to say what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, we've found that it's really helpful to try to quantify some of the unquantifiables for people, because it's hard to put a number on your health, right? It's hard to put a number on watching your children eat healthy food. But if you could very easily just come up with some numbers, and anyone out there, everyone watching this is in the health industry. So you could easily say to a person, yes, it's going to cost you $40 a month right now. But how much does it cost you to have to get your gallbladder removed in an emergency cholecystectomy? Right? Or how much is it going to cost you to have to go on whatever medications because you've got diabetes and that's the rest of your life. Right. And that really helps people put a sense of perspective in it. And then obviously when you start talking about quality of life stuff, suddenly money isn't even a factor. It's what point does it do you to save $40 a month if you can't even go out and spend time with your kids or your grandkids because you feel terrible all the time.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And I think the brilliant part about what you did as well is you created a fixed amount of content, which is like the best. I say this all the time. It's the best thing that you can do is create something that is going to be reusable or reconsumable, because then you're not on that hamster wheel of having to create content all the time. Exactly. That is a burn. It's a churn and burn, and it'll drive you into the dirt so fast, unless you can make enough money at it that you can scale it and be able to hire help to help you. But for what you've done, you create it once, and then your people get in it for 6 months, and then they have what they need. And
There are two huge advantages to this model. One of them is scalability, because it's virtually infinitely scalable, which means that you can have 5,000 people in there and it's not going to be that much more work for you than if you have 10 people in there.
Right.
The other advantage is there's so much automation that goes into it, because we're still in the first year of the program, which means we're still generating a lot of the content as we go. But as soon as we hit that first year, we're going to start recycling last year's menu.
Totally.
Because nobody needs more than a year's worth of menu plans. And that means that the content generation is virtually done for us, aside from the occasional optimization and tweak. And we get to sit back at that point, do even less work, but the membership continues to grow. And that means the revenue continues to grow.
Right.
So it's a beautiful model.
It's a great model. So using your model and thinking about what you've done to kind of create the content, what were the biggest roadblocks that you hit early on? The places where you think, oh, if my future self had known X, I would have not done that back there, because that was a big old fat disaster. What stripped you, like make you just like lay on the floor and go, I can't do this?
We made the same mistake I think a lot of people make when they're first starting out in something like this, which is that we undervalued ourselves. And so we were offering the world for very little. And $40, again, you might think, wow, that's a lot of money. But for what we were doing for people, $40 was virtually nothing. Our initial price points were 60, 50, and 40, depending on how much they prepaid for. And we were doing an individual thread, like a personal, basically a text thread. We were using Voxer, but a text thread with every single person in the membership. And for the most part, that was fine, but we would occasionally get one or two people in there that would abuse the heck out of it. And that meant that they were taking up just an abnormally large amount of our time that we didn't have. We reached a breaking point in, was it January? It was January, where things were just way too stressful. We were spending way too much time doing this. And Juanique basically said, I'm pulling the plug on this.
We stopped the membership, and I said, I'm revamping it because this isn't sustainable.
Now keep in mind that like it was doing really well. The membership was thriving. People were joining like crazy. We were probably doing, in our worst months, we were doing $5,000 in revenue a month just from the membership. In the best months, it was closer to $10,000 a month in revenue. And so it was doing awesome, but our quality of life was deteriorating like crazy. And so at that point we stopped, and Juanique primarily decided, okay, we're going to reevaluate how we do this. We're going to continue to provide value for people, but we're not going to sell ourselves short in terms of what we bring to the table.
That's right.
So I don't know if you want to talk about some of the modifications you're making to how it works.
Now. So when people join every week, they're going to be emailed kind of like a page on, okay, week 1, you're starting your healing journey, empty out your pantry. These are the things you want gone. These are the things you want to look for in in the foods, and this is what you're going to replace it with. Week 2, get to know your vegetables, clean out your fridge. Week 3, here are the spices and condiments that you can and can't shop with, because people would individually ask us, what do you think of this like ketchup or something? So now
I send you a picture of the back of the bottle or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this.
Yes. And so now I'm like, here are my favorites, go and buy. And if you have a question, ask it in the group, and then either one of us or one of our assistants will answer it. And so it's a step-by-step hand holding them through it. There's going to be emails sent to them. There's going to be the Facebook still. There's going to be the meal prep protocols and all of that. But it's going to be more of like a hand holding, pre-written out, pretty little piece of paper that they can print out every week and put it in a folder. And that can be their like health healing folder, basically. So we're going to relaunch that like next week. And it's going to have like videos, like instructional videos. So they still get the one-on-one, right? The videos are going to be well edited. It's going to be me giving them a tour of my pantry. Like, this is what my pantry looks like. These are the nut butters I use, so that they can still get that personal effect. And that's exclusive to them. No one else gets to see my pantry. No one else gets to see my fridge, So
Right.
Yeah. And what's nice about this is also that we're going to start outsourcing a lot of the repetitive education to the group. Because once people have been in the group for a while, they understand the basics really well. And then when new people come in and they ask the same questions that everybody else has asked already, it's very easy for people to answer that question. It happens in your group all the time, Rhonda, right?
Yep.
People will come in and they've got the standard 4 or 5 questions that everybody has when they're first getting started on the nutritional aspect of their practice. And those of us who have been around are like, ooh, my turn to answer this and feel really smart.
Right.
Me, I do. But then that will save us, once again, a lot of the individual time, because we used to answer the same questions over and over and over and over again, even in our membership. And so we weren't really getting the benefits of having the membership that way. But now we'll be able to do that.
And one of the ways that you can do that, and this is the same for anyone who's thinking about doing this, it's one of the best ways to leverage a membership where you've got patients who are, we would call them like lay people, right? The non-educated, they're at that level where they really do need a little bit more handholding, is when you have people that move through your program, you can create like an ambassadors club. Or give it some fancy name like that. And people love that. Like, you've got the people who love you and they are your brand champions. They'll do anything for you because you saved their life. You saved their health. They lost 30 pounds. Their husband's now off of his medication. Like, their whole lives have changed. And they now become they are like your number one ambassadors. Those are the people that you leverage, and you just ask them, would you take this on in the group? And they love it. They love it. And that takes even more work off of you. And last night, Jamie Swanson was talking about that, about those 4 levels when you're creating community and how you are able to connect with them. And that 4th level is when people start to just tell your story and you don't have to say a thing. That's how you create that movement. And I love it. It sounds like you guys are like there, which is so great.
We're still learning. Like, we're making a lot of mistakes as we go. But
so I see a question from someone watching about, like, if you stop creating new content, do you lose members? And while the answer is potentially yes, the idea is that there's an infinite supply of people out there, right? And by the time someone has been in the program for a year, there's a good chance they're sticking around at that point for the community, not for the content.
That's exactly right. They'll stay for the community, not the content. That's exactly right.
By that point, the community has become their tribe. It's their people. And who would willingly leave their people?
Yeah, that's right.
That whatever amount of money they're paying per month is a totally worthwhile membership expense, because that's where they feel at home.
Yeah.
And at that point, ambassadors is the perfect word for that, because they also become your most powerful marketing machine.
They're the ones that bring you new people all the time, because you don't have to pay them. They just do it because they love you. It's awesome.
But if you want to, you can do an affiliate program, and you can give them whatever, flat fee or percentage of everyone they bring in. And then they're even more happy to do it. We haven't decided if we're going to do that or not. I don't know if we will, but it's absolutely a possibility. And you will not run out of members. You won't. As long as the content you have there is solid, and as long as the community is strong, then people will come.
But you also have to be really involved too, because they want to see the soul you, right? Like, you can't, I think they want to see their doctor at the clinic, but then they want to see like the whole body, and so that's what they're paying for, is like that exclusive, like, are you a human being? Like, are you human? Are you approachable? If you are, I'm here. I'm here for good. Yeah. And so I think it's a platform where you're very approachable and you're showing up and you're sharing you.
And it's that vulnerability. Like, for me, I know that we were talking about this before we started tonight, and then we talked about like the gin and tonic, and I love gin and tonic, and I love jalapeno poppers. And those are like my 2 favorite foods. And I don't drink a lot of gin and tonics. You would think that I do with the amount that I talk about it. But I mean, maybe once every 10 days, maybe. Like, I don't. But when I have one, it's just the best. But that's like that's the thing that everybody, that's that point of connection. And people want to know, what are the things that you do that might be almost a no-no? Like, you're drinking alcohol, and you're having a cheeseburger with a bun or whatever. Like, they just want to know, they want to connect with a real human, not someone who just always looks like they're all put together and, they never, ever, ever fart in public. We're real people that do real life things, because that even makes that connection be better. Like Jamie was talking about when she was doing a video, and she had blood running down her face. I loved it. Oh my gosh, it's just like classic.
Yeah. We make a point to show our messiness.
Totally.
Not because like, look how awesome and messy we are, but we know that everybody is messy. Everyone's messy in their own ways. And if they can see ours, then they feel more connected to us. They feel like, oh, you have some information that we love. We love your personality, but you're just like us. Mm-hmm. And that means that if you can figure this stuff out, then we can figure this stuff out.
Yeah. I actually think, like, when I'm doing my Instagram stories for my followers, the stories I get most comments on is when they're seeing the children screaming in the background. And they're like, I love how human you are. Thank you for making it messy. You know, like they actually like express thanks for it, you know, and I'm like, thanks for still being here. You know, so people just want you to be human, because I think there's so much like artificial stuff out there. And they'll pay for it. They'll pay to see you being human. It's really interesting.
It is. It's a fascinating dynamic, but and you said it earlier, it's that emotional connection. I mean, that's really what they're after, is that emotional connection.
Yeah. So Juanique recently did a poll and asked her followers what they would want to know about us, just like what kinds of questions do you have for us? And the most common questions were really interesting, was about religion, and
what are our junk foods that we go to.
They asked us how we met. Like people care about stuff that we never would have thought people would care about. And it's because we're a part of their life. We've taken on this role in their existence, and they want to know a little bit more. And it doesn't mean that we have to let them into every detail and be completely intimate all the time with them. But every little thing that you give, it just like explodes this sense of, oh, you're human. I love it. It's so great.
It's a relationship.
Totally. Sorry, Rhonda. I'm so sorry. No. Go ahead.
You go. Go ahead.
No, I just saw someone said, how do you share your marketing on this? And just kind of, so people are probably getting confused between the Facebook group and the Instagram. So Instagram is our public platform, where I talk about health and wellness, and I talk about our podcast, and I talk about our clinic, and anyone can follow me on there. And I'm always giving information about nutrition and supplements and research and my personal life and what we're eating. And so it's almost like a mini reality show. And that's where I market the membership. That's where I market our services. That's where I market the meal planners. And that's where I market like our affiliate links and stuff. So it took me about 2 years of generating content to get a massive amount of followers for it to be really successful. But it's one of the best investments you can ever create, is an incredibly engaging platform for us. Instagram has worked amazingly. So the membership is the Facebook, and then our marketing is through Instagram.
And our podcast.
And our podcast too.
Real quick though, before we move on to the podcast, don't feel intimidated by the fact that it took us 2 years to build this up, because you can have a really strong following of a couple hundred people, and have all of the success that you could ever want from a membership out of that.
Totally.
What really matters is that you find those hardcore people, that they are your people and you are their people, and they will come to you. So get out there and be real. And you probably already have a list. If you don't have a list of any kind, then it's time for you to start making some changes to your office flow. Right? Make sure that they're getting on the list. But those are the people who already think you're awesome. They come to you and they give you money to help them. So of course they're going to want more from you. And if you offer that in any form, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, go and do that. And then they'll come and they'll find you, and it can build up way faster than it did for us. We just didn't know what to do with it for a long time. So it didn't have purpose.
I want to jump in here for everyone who's watching and listening. And even if you're listening later after the live is over. So when the fact that they've got, and let me give you, I'm just going to show you what the Instagram handle is. So here is Juanique's Instagram handle. And I'm sorry, I pronounced your name incorrectly at first, but I got it. But here's her Instagram handle. Now, when you started, you didn't start out with this gutsy mom Insta handle because you thought that it was going to lead into this whole membership. This was not a strategic planning thing, was it?
It was to help people. So when we were on Tristan's cancer journey and we were researching, and I just wanted people to know about what we were learning about so that they could help themselves. And so it basically turned into a, like, look, you can eat healthy too. This is us learning how to eat healthy. And no, so it completely transformed and kept changing. And what was interesting was the more I spoke, because I think that's the hardest part, is just starting to open your mouth. The more I realized how people wanted it. And then they would ask more questions, and they would, and you would start engaging with them. And that's how, you created like a small tribe, and then they would share the tribe with their friends. And so it just started simply with me being like, I want to share healthy recipes and quick meals with people, because people need to learn how to eat better.
Right. And then once that community starts to be created, which was just sort of happenstance because it was for a completely unrelated reason. And then you started to gain that momentum because you're sharing content, just like Jamie talked about last night. You're sharing content that's relevant. You're sharing content that they need and want. You're not sharing something that says, oh, by the way, we've got Liviplex. Your liver in trouble? Come buy Liviplex. Nobody cares. What they want to know is that you get them. Yes. It's about them. It's not about us. And so when you connect to them and you start providing information like, hey, you want to see, here's what I did tonight, and look at this mess in this kitchen. And you show your phone and you show your mess and you go, but oh my gosh, the halibut was so good. It was so good. And then people say, how did you fix it? I've never had halibut. Bingo. Now you're in. Now you've got a conversation that's starting to happen that allows you to build deeper relationships. So for everyone who's watching, don't feel like this was not planned. So their marketing is a bit unique here, but it works for them. So you may not have a marketing handle that says, Gutsy Mom, or, mine was always Healthy Mom, 7-7. That was my thing forever. And I kind of dropped it because it just got old and I got tired of it. But you don't have to have anything like that. It can be your clinic name, and it's okay. But what Juanique's done a great job at is branding herself. So for those of you that are personal, like you're a single solopreneur, I would highly encourage you to go follow her on Instagram and then do what she does, because she's figured it out and she's built a following. So go follow her on Instagram, and then you can see how she does it and how she interacts and what her posts look like. I get this question all the time. I don't know what to do on social media. Well, then go find someone that does what you do and then follow them. And you don't care, right?
What? That people no, please.
You might even laugh because we're probably like half as smart as everyone watching this. You all know so much more than we do. But you'll go and see, and you'll understand, like, people don't need a lot. They just need something because they're so used to getting nothing.
That's right.
But if you're a Facebook person, if Instagram is just not something that you can do and you want some Facebook people to follow, one person that I love is Sarah Outlaw. I hope she doesn't mind if I mention her. I don't know if she's watching this.
Her stuff's great. We love Sarah around here.
She's fantastic. She does a lot of videos. I think it's in her kitchen where she does them, and they're a great example of how you could do this. The Taylors are also really good at that. I think they do it with their clinic, Whole Food Practice.
Chris and Melissa Taylor. Yeah, Whole Food Practice.
Yeah, they're on Facebook as well. So those are a good couple of examples. There's a couple of others. For My Friend's Health, I think it is. These are all standard process people. And so their model would be very directly applicable to you, but just putting content out there that people can relate to, especially if it's really shareable. Shareable content goes viral.
Huge. Yep. Makes a big difference. So what would you say if you had to come up with some ideas that you thought were scalable for the rest of our tribe here? What other ideas would you say they might be able to do? If someone like me, I'm not a recipe person, that would make me I would want to like scratch my eyes out if you asked me to do that. But I could think of other things that I would do. But what would you say, knowing our group, knowing our tribe the way you do, because you're one of us, what would be some of your ideas? What would you say would be a good membership that you could create? Do you have any ideas?
So you could have an entire membership based on digestive health if you wanted to, because that is, we have a program. It's not a membership per se. It's more of like a 4-week challenge, but it's all about digestion restoration, right? And it's basically just going through
it's like a mini course.
It's basically the standard process modules of getting people all fixed up, right? Starting with doing the baking soda test. And there's so much stuff in there alone that you could have an entire membership on that. It might be a shorter term thing than a full year, but there's plenty there. And that doesn't even have to be your whole membership. You could have the digestion piece, and then you could have the immunity piece, right? And then, I mean, pick a standard process topic, pick a protocol, and that can take up anywhere from 1 to 4 months of your membership every year.
Exactly. You could tag them and just lay them all right back to back to back to back, so that this is how they know you can restore your health. You can completely recover your health in 12 months. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how to do that. And maybe you're involved. Maybe there's a Facebook group. There's just so many ways that you can do it. And it will take time to develop that membership. But the way that you do that is you find out what the need is of your people. So if your target audience is a menopausal woman, then you're not going to want to do something that has to do with like PCOS. That's not going to work because it's not right for your audience. You have to find the thing that your audience needs and then create content and introduce them to a membership around that, what they need. Yeah.
Well, and like teaching them that I will teach you how to be an expert on that. Like, I'll teach you how to be an expert on sex hormones. Like, okay, week 1, you're learning this aspect. Week 2, you're learning this aspect. Like, people want to become their own health experts. But they're overwhelmed by so much bad information out there. So if they're coming to you, they trust you. So now it's so easy for you to make a course that they trust is good information.
Right.
And so what are, like we've said before, what are people constantly asking you over and over and over? Create a course around that. Are you repeating yourself in one area or another? Create a course around it and go into depth. Like, people like the depth of it. They like to go into the nitty-gritty because they didn't go to medical school. They didn't go to chiropractic school. They didn't go to whatever school to learn these things. So this is brand new to them, and they love it.
Yeah.
And they want to be an expert. I love that term. I love that you said that. I will teach you how to be an expert. Right there, you position yourself as being the expert because I'm going to teach you how to be an expert, which by implication implies that I'm an expert. And so right there, you've lended that credibility, and they go, oh, I could be an expert like you. Okay, you're going to teach me? Okay. Everyone wants to learn. I love that. That's great language. Love it.
What I would recommend, if you're not in the clinical academy program already, I would highly, highly recommend joining that and seeing how Rhonda runs it, because that is a fantastic template. Granted, you are not going to be teaching the same stuff that Rhonda's teaching because she's teaching practitioners. Her stuff is very high level, very advanced. But you could basically take those concepts and translate them into layperson speak, and you've got yourself so many different possibilities of that.
Yep.
And the weekly layout and everything like that is perfect for a membership.
When you think about a topic, you have to think that there's always going to be layers to the topic. So, and thank you for the shout out on the Clinical Academy, by the way, but there's always layers to a topic. So if you think about menopause, for instance, what are all the things that have to do with menopause? You could probably think of 15 symptoms that are common in menopause. Each one of those symptoms then can get broken down into little tiny pieces. So you could probably make a 4-month membership, or like a 4-month course, if you wanted to call it, just on menopause. And if that's your target audience, you could create that with just what you know. And this is the stuff that you walk the patient through anyway in the office. It's the same thing. You're just doing it and you're delivering the content in a different way.
Exactly.
Love the model. right, let me see if we've got questions, because can you guys see them? I have to look on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you create each of the recipes, or are you borrowing them from other places?
So some I create, some I borrow and tweak my own way. I do have a photographer that helps me take photos. I used to take my own photos. I don't anymore. And so it's now really easy. It's a lot of work up in the beginning, but yeah, it's pretty easy now.
And what platform do you use?
Kajabi.
Yeah, so Kajabi is the core platform we use, same as Rhonda, and it is awesome. I cannot recommend anything else.
Awesome.
But we use the Facebook group for our group. We tried the Kajabi community, and people just aren't willing to use another platform. They're already on Facebook, so it works.
It's a lot of work to get a new platform.
I would love to get them off Facebook. I'd love to get myself off Facebook, but it's not going anywhere. So.
It's coming. We're going to move. I promise. I'm hoping to have the announcement about where we're going to move to another platform next week.
All right.
So, yeah,
I'll be watching. We'll see if it can work for us too.
Let's just see. Would you ever think about franchising your program?
I'm not sure what that means exactly. I mean, like maybe the affiliate thing that we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
Where if people really wanted to be able to send their people somewhere, but they didn't want to do that themselves, then we could probably figure out some kind of an arrangement where you're still able to get some passive income from that. But I honestly, I would highly recommend people do their own membership. You want to own that. You want to be able to make that you, and you don't want to sell your audience to somebody else, because then they become our audience, and then we benefit downline from that.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah. And if you were a practitioner and you just said, look, I'm 5 years away from retiring. I really just don't even have the drive, the desire. It's a hard no for me. Then it might be a good consideration to reach out to Tristin and Juanique and ask them if they would be interested in doing some kind of an affiliate. And that just means that for the people that you send, you may get a little bit of that, of the cut of the revenue that comes in, a little slice of the pie, but for sending them. But I agree with Tristin. It's so much better if you build it yourself, if you absolutely, if you possibly can. It's a way better way to do it. Okay, Tammy asked, would you share how you're marketing this? But you kind of already talked about that. You're doing it really through Instagram.
Yeah, and we have a podcast as well that is awesome.
Talk about your podcast.
So all these ideas are Juanique. She's the idea person, and I'm the brakes that says, can we please plan this before we start it? But she wanted to do a podcast, and I eventually gave in and said, okay, let's do a podcast. So we started it last August. And it's been incredible for us. Really awesome. And again, we're not sharing anything that you guys don't know already, but we're just sharing it in a way that's accessible to people. And they're resonating with it, and they love it. And so it's just brought in all kinds of amazing people to us that have found us through iTunes or Spotify or their friend who recommended it and that sort of thing. So
here's the podcast, just so you guys, if you guys want to write it down, here is where you can find their podcast. And it's great. I've listened. It's a great podcast.
I'm glad you listened to it. Which one did you listen to?
Don't fact check us.
I'm just going to say it was good. I liked it. I really liked it. Okay. Let's see. What software have you found helpful in relaying your content and staying connected to your membership? So we talked about that.
By the way, Kajabi is spelled Kajabi.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Kajabi. And there are multiple people that you can go with. For those of you that are in Clinical Academy, we just recently moved over to Kajabi. Kajabi was our fourth platform, our poor people. We've moved them and yanked them around everywhere. But we were on a WordPress platform before, and it's just, if you're techie, it works. If you have that kind of background, but if you don't, Kajabi is like plug and play. It makes it so easy. It's just as easy gets. So easy. So yes.
And you should, Rhonda, if you can, find your Kajabi affiliate link and share that. That way people can give you credit when they go and.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll find that. I'll post it in the I'll post it in this feed.
Awesome.
Melissa's on. Yay, Melissa. We gave you a nice shout out, Melissa Taylor. She said, how to use Instagram properly has been like smoke and mirrors to me. So yeah, Melissa, go follow Juanique at Gypsy Mom. Is that right?
Gypsy.
Yes.
Gypsy underscore.
Let me put it back up.
And just to really hit on that, the key with Instagram is just showing your life.
Yes.
People don't really respond to content that well. Like if you just post useful content and it's all words or a picture in words, for us at least, it's never done very well.
People want to see your face.
When it's a video of Juanique talking about it and saying the exact same thing, bam, people love it.
It's so much different when you connect. That's why I'm so passionate about like Facebook lives or Instagram lives. You have to get on and be in front of your people and you just show them your real self. It's not like life is life and life gets messy and it's just messy for everyone sometimes. And people need to know it's messy.
Sorry, Rhonda, the lag is weird here. But what people really love is some like behind the scenes clinical stuff too. Like if I come across a really interesting case, I'll ask my client, do I have permission from you to, keep you anonymous, but share a little aspect of what we spoke about today, or share a little bit about your report today. And so when I share that with people, they have so much, I think those are my most popular, is because it's bringing the personality and the clinic together, and they're getting the behind scenes, because all of your clients have most likely never worked in a clinic before. They'll never see clients. And so it's a reality show for them. And they just really like to hear the cases, because it's not like, well, someone told me about someone who told them. It's you saying something about someone you just spoke with that day.
Firsthand.
Firsthand. And then they see like the evidence from the report and they're like, oh my gosh, and so yeah, it's a little bit like a reality show, but with heart and soul. It's not, there's no like ulterior agenda to it. And if there is, they'll know that, they'll sense it.
They'll feel it right away. Yep. And bringing that personal in, like, this is the person that we saw today. And I can't wait to tell you what happened. And then you run through that case. It again positions you as the practitioner, as the health provider, as that authority. And people want to follow someone who can be their authority. It's like Angie Schultz talks about on Tuesday night when she was talking about Story Brand. The patient is the hero and we are just the guide. That's all. Yes. The patient is the hero. And so we want to make them a hero. So by sharing someone's story, you're making your other patient that you saw that day the hero. And you're telling your other hero about another hero. And look, I was the guide for this hero, and I could be the guide for you because look what this hero got. And it's such a beautiful way to use story to be able to engage with your people.
Definitely.
I so love what you guys have done. Like I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now
been a passion project.
Here's the question. Right before we went live, I asked Tristin. So now I'm going to ask all the rest of you, because this was like, we were talking about like how people just want to know what's the real thing about you. So I asked Tristin, I said, okay, what would you want to know about me? Go ahead. What did you say?
I want to know what you do for fun.
And I said, that's a question. He said, I want to know what you do for fun. And I said, I don't want to talk to you about that because I don't want to be honest about that I work a lot. And I don't do things that are fun. And then he said, well, you have a boat. And I thought, oh, yeah, I do kind of have a boat. I should maybe like get my phone out and give you all a tour of the boat. Like you probably would all really like that, to see the boat. It never occurs to me, honestly, to do that. So I'm asking all of you, if there's something, and this is really for the benefit of everyone, like if there's something that you look at someone and you think, I'd really like to know X about them, post it in the comments, and then everyone can look, and that'll be trigger or food for you to start talking about the things in your personal life that maybe your clients or patients might want to know about you. Those are the same things that you would want to know about me. Like, well, where am I in the world right now? What am I doing? What did I have for dinner? You know, what am I doing for vacation? I am going out on the boat on Saturday because it's supposed to be nice. I'm in Seattle and I'm going to go out on the boat on Saturday, but I'm going to spend time catching up on all the Facebook posts while I'm on the boat. But you know, my point is, like, what are the things that you would want to know about me? What do you want to know about Tristin and Juanique? Those are the same questions your patients are going to have about you.
Yeah.
And
you'll be surprised at the answers. Honestly, people will want to know the most weird things about you. Doesn't mean you have to share it, but.
So post in the thread, post in the chat what you would want to know about me or what you would want to know about Tristin. And then maybe I'll tell you, but you can use all those ideas as a way to be able to stimulate your own conversation with your own people on your social channels, because they just really want to connect with you. So let me see if there's any more questions. Go ahead. Say whatever you're going to say.
Oh, I was just saying exactly. Exactly. They just want to know. I actually liked your reply where you're like, all I do is work. And I was like, oh, that makes you so human. All we do is work too, you know? So even you just saying that, I was like, oh, that's nice. It's nice to know. You know, because all I hear is your voice in the background of our house, always working all the time. You're always doing like lives, or he's listening to something, some training or whatever. And so it's like, just, it's nice to know that this is what you do and this is what you're passionate about. That just made you a little bit more human to me.
And I think that where that comes in is not everyone's going to have that work-life balance. Like mine's skewed, and I know it's skewed, but I don't have kids at home. Right. My phase of life is so different. And so when you start interacting with people, I forget that when, you know, everyone always says to me, gosh, you're just everywhere. You're busy. You're doing this. And I think I don't want to set that standard so that everybody else feels like they have to be at that place. But that's part of where we have to be real, because you don't know what your patients are thinking about you. You don't know what people are thinking about you. You're just doing your thing and you don't know what they're thinking. That making that connection and being real, giving them content and answers that they need and want, and then involving them in the conversation is what causes your social following. That's what allows it to really create a movement. There's your movement right there.
And this, by the way, this membership is our long-term plan to get out of working all the time, because we don't want to always be busy all the time. And we strongly believe that within a couple of years, we can build our membership up to enough to where if we decided to, we could shut down the clinic, move our family to Costa Rica if they let us leave the country without, we won't go there. And we could basically do the same thing from anywhere in the world. So we're building on that in order to create freedom for ourselves. It's an exit strategy.
And so if you had to say what one thing, like the one thing, if you could leave with one piece of advice for everybody listening, what would it be as it has to do with a membership? One piece of advice.
You go first.
Do something. Do something. And that could be like the simplest, dumbest membership ever in your mind, but just create it. And you can charge $5 a month if that's all you think it's worth. Yep. But the important thing is that you started momentum. And once you do that, you will recognize very quickly what works about it, what doesn't work about it. And once you realize what works, leverage the crap out of that and just do more and more of it. And that's what will cause growth for you. You don't have to have the perfect membership right off the bat. You'll never launch if you try to do that.
Always start with B- work. It does have to be B- work. It does not have to be perfect. Would you agree?
Oh my gosh, we started at like C-.
I mean,
and I'm trying to make an A+ project here now.
I aim for like a B in most of everything I do in life. So
exactly, B- is good. Okay, Juanique, what's yours? Number one tip.
I think my number one tip is, if you had to ask yourself right now, what is it that you wished all of your clients knew about what you teach, about health and wellness? What is the first thing that comes to mind? The one thing that creates the most frustration, but the most passion as well. And then like channel that energy into something constructive, because like we all have that one thing where it's like, if all of my patients understood this concept, it would make my life easier, their life easier, this practice's life easier, and maybe create a course around that. Maybe create because that's obviously the question that keeps you up at night subconsciously, right? And it's just right. Now, okay, everybody needs to know this. Go let them know it. Who better to teach them than you?
That's exactly right. The one thing, that's such great advice. So one more time, I'm going to put these up before we close. So here is Instagram. So you can follow Juanique on Instagram, Gutsy Mom. I said Gypsy Mom. One of my employees identifies herself as a gypsy, and I think she really is a gypsy.
I like that. I like it. I respect it.
So here's Instagram. Here's the podcast. So mygutsyhealth.com. I love that name. What a great, catchy name. And then if you want to follow them on Facebook, here is their Facebook handle. But this one's not, if I'm correct, this one's not developed out as much as Instagram. Is that right?
We now have a content manager and we're starting to get things rolling. And so we're hopefully all of our platforms are going to be full speed ahead in the next 4 weeks. So we're excited about that.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I've learned so much from you. I so appreciate you. And Tristin, thanks for being in the community so much and always being so great about sharing and encouraging and, cheering other people on, because we're all on this journey together. And I learned from you just as much as you learned from me and the rest of the community. And that's what makes us work together well. So I really appreciate you guys taking your evening. And there's no screaming kids in the background. Where are they?
They're my parents. They've called a few times. I don't know.
There we go, being real right there. That's
as close to a date as we're gonna get. So we're taking advantage of it.
Yeah. How long do you want to talk? I mean, you could stay on after we're done here. We could just keep chatting. That's right.
Let's get some wine and just keep talking.
Yeah, that's right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow night, we have our last Live at 5 with Friends, and you are not going to want to miss her. She is an actress, truly. She's a stunt woman. She is amazing when it comes to video. And what she's going to teach us is how to do video, how to get the lighting right, how to get your video right so that you look like a superstar and you don't look like, chubby in the face. And she's going to talk about all that stuff, how you make video at home cheap and expensive, but it looks so brilliant, and how you can just look like a superstar in front of your people. She's really fun to be with. I think you're going to love her. So that's tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys at 5 tomorrow night. Take care, you guys. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
See ya.